Hey, episode 70 of the Nashville Artist Podcast is now out, featuring Ryan Bigelow. Ryan is a singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and person who loves to razz the audience. Growing up adoring guitar shredders like Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, and Jimmy Page, Ryan learned he had to overcome the need for there to be a guitar solo in every song. Now he plays anti-solos. When he was younger, he loved dinosaurs, especially velociraptors. Listening, you'll learn his songwriting process and what influenced his band Rigby's latest record called Now, turning his acoustic writings into electric shoegaze, or organized chaos as he calls it. His favorite venue is Drkmttr Collective, feeling as though he's playing a home game when performing there. His advice for artists is to go to as many shows as possible and put yourself out there constantly. Quotes, "Even when it's raining on a Tuesday night, you haven't eaten dinner, and your life's all fucked up, spend your last $10 and go to the show. You'll feel like you are part of something." End quotes. Influences like Stereolab, Duster, Modest Mouse, The Black Keys, My Bloody Valentine, Arctic Monkeys, Cage the Elephant, Foals, The XX, Pinback, Miles Davis, Dave Brubeck, Bill Evans, Gilberto Gil, and Gal Costa. Enjoy the episode.
I have the day off. Very, very chill morning. I was over at my girlfriend's house.
Oh, nice.
We made some breakfast.
Nice.
And then I left. And then I realized I had no gas in my car.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And so I filled up some gas and then I came over here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You work at the next to the end, or East Room, right?
I used to work over at Beehive.
That's what it's called.
I work over at Mitchell Deli now.
Oh, really? Nice.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
It's pretty good. I like it over there.
Eat amazing sandwiches?
Yeah, I like the old man sandwiches. I like the tuna fish sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
The pastrami and Swiss.
The old man's.
Yeah, these are the old, anything that comes on like rye bread.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what all the most old men come in and order?
Yeah. Me too. I don't know what it is. There's something very hearty about it.
Tuna fish.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome. I like whatever Beehive too. I like how they trick you into thinking you're eating meat, but you're not.
Yeah. I was over there for a while. It was good.
Yeah. I always feel good after eating there.
Yeah.
I don't feel.
I like to do the I really like their Caesar dressing.
Ooh.
And I like to do like a kale Caesar salad with Nashville hot chicken tenders.
Oh, I'm gonna need to try that. Last time I was there, I got like one of their sandwiches. Subs.
The Sammys are good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. Well, awesome. We'll get started here. Hey everyone, welcome to the Nashville Artist. I'm Jordan, and today Ryan Bigelow is here.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
Thanks for coming over.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Cool. So, where are you from?
I'm from the Northeast. I grew up on Long Island, lived in Connecticut, lived in each one of those places 9 years a pop.
Wow.
And now I've lived here for 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm almost kind of more Nashville than anywhere else at this point. Once it's 10 years, so next August.
Wow.
Then I'll
You're the first New Yorker I've had on here.
really.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! I'll make a fool of myself for you.
That's awesome. When did you move here?
I moved here in
I guess 90.
2014.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that would be nice. Well, yeah, we're approaching the 10th
10
year,
year.
so that makes sense.
Wow. What do you have any siblings?
I have two younger siblings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What
Lauren and Matt.
are they also into art and music?
Um, they both really like art and music. Um, I don't know how musical they are. Like they don't have like bands. My brother plays the drums. Um,
Nice.
he's got really good sense of time, which is cool because I feel like a lot of people who like play the drums professionally maybe don't.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
yeah, I saw them over Christmas like a couple weeks ago, and me and my brother were listening to a bunch of like new like drum and bass style music and stuff.
Like Nerve.
No, more like what was I? He was showing me something, and I forget what it is right now. But then it made me show him Machine Girl,
Oh, okay.
and we were kind of vibing about that. He likes to make these edits um to like songs and stuff, and he'll get like different like clips from like a show or like a music video or like whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But
Did they both live in New York?
no, he lives in Boone, North Carolina,
Okay.
which is like a super chill place.
Did he go to ASU? Appy
He
State?
yeah, he goes to App State right now. Actually, he's 7 years younger than me, so he's like a junior at this point.
Okay.
And then Lauren lives in Louisville. And so I actually just got to see her when I was on tour with Rigby and Total Wife. Her and her friend came out. I don't know. I don't know what they were expecting. They really liked it, but it was kind of funny. It was like a merger of two worlds because like nobody in my family has really like seen me perform since I moved out of the house.
Wow.
But my parents got to see me in Chapel Hill because they live in Raleigh,
Oh,
and then
really?
she got to see me in Louisville. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. What do they do, or like what are they in school for, or what
Um,
were they studying?
my brother is I'm always a little light on the details, but he goes to school. He's on like a D1 like pole vault
Oh,
scholarship.
sick.
So he's like jumping in the air. He's clearly a very like multi-talented person.
That's awesome.
Um, but then he studies like video and like media stuff. I don't know what the actual major is called, but he wants to do like video editing stuff.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then Lauren works in like alcohol sales. So she works for this place that distributes like La Marca, Prosecco, and like all this stuff.
Wow.
So she's always like competing to have like the nicest looking booth with like all the labels facing out and like getting her products into like different stores and whatnot.
Oh, nice.
She's a go getter, so that's like the kind of thing for her. Unlike me, I'm a chiller.
So, like, what about your parents? Are they into music and art and stuff?
Yeah, I'd say they largely like helped me get into it. They don't really play music now. My dad plays the trumpet, and so he encouraged me to play trumpet when I was in like third or fourth grade. And so that's when I started playing.
Trumpet.
And then my mom did like choir when she was in high school and maybe college too. She told me this cool thing about how she got to like go around Europe singing one time. That was probably super chill.
Wow.
But they both really like classic rock and like uh they wouldn't describe it as post punk, but like kind of, I guess, like new wave and stuff like that, and like grunge and stuff. Like they went to college, and like that was when like Nirvana and whatnot was like coming out.
Wow.
And like Pearl Jam, and they both really like Alice in Chains too.
That's amazing.
That's always my favorite.
Do you have pretty young parents?
Yes, I would. Yeah. Not to give away their history.
No,
but yeah, they definitely had me when they were pretty young, which is like cool for me because I got to have like young, chill parents.
It's just rare that you meet someone who's like close to our age, whatever, and their parents like were coming of age in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I have very old parents, so like when I grew up, I was listening to 50s and 60s music.
Oh yeah,
I had to discover 80s and 90s music on my own.
That's funny. See, that's the thing with me with like, because I love like old music. I feel like I listen to older music than they do.
Yeah,
I'll be showing my mom like a Sonny Rollins record, and she'll be
really?
Like, oh, this is awesome. Like, who's this? And I'm like, Sonny Rollins live at the Village Vanguard, man.
Yeah, man, that's so wild. Yeah, like two different spectrums. Like I grew up on like Temptations, Four Tops, Motown, and like early 60s music.
Yeah,
and so like sick. It's wild to hear someone who's like closer to my age, whatever, and their parents are like
they're listening to like Seether,
like yeah, or like yeah, like more or less what I'd say I listen to now.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Wow, that's really cool. So, what were you into as a little kid?
Mostly dinosaurs.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't really like storybooks, but like every night I'd ask my mom to read me the dinosaur encyclopedia, and so we'd learn like some facts about like the Cretaceous era and whatnot. And then the music that I liked when I was like really little, my favorite songs were Master of Puppets by Metallica. I really liked War Pigs by Black Sabbath. I feel like that's kind of funny for a kid, like a little 4-year-old, to be liking all that. Yeah, I was definitely like a rocker when I was young. But I also liked like some pop stuff. Like my favorite like pop singer was probably like Rihanna.
Yeah.
So I really liked her. I really liked Madonna. My mom showed me her. Yeah.
What was your favorite dinosaur?
Probably Velociraptor because of the Jurassic Park movies.
Oh,
they were like the smartest and the fastest. And so I was like, I guess as like a young New Yorker, you want to be the smartest and the fastest.
Right.
So naturally the Velociraptor would be the dinosaur of choice.
And Velociraptors are terrifying.
They really are.
I mean, they're like you said, they're fast, they're intelligent, and they're ferocious.
Uh-huh.
Also, I heard like, according to Steven Spielberg or someone, they made the Velociraptor a lot bigger than it really was. Apparently, apparently, a Velociraptor was only like this tall.
Oh shoot! Yeah, that wouldn't have been as intimidating.
Yeah, they're more like the Comfies. Do you remember the Comfies? The tiny dinosaurs.
Oh, the tiny. Yeah.
That eats that one dude. Yeah, they were apparently more of that size.
Oh, that's funny.
Although I thought the Comfies were terrifying too, because
they were. Yeah.
They ate that little child, and then like, it was just imagine being bit to death, like tiny bites till you're
I've thought about that before, like what it would be like to be like an animal just getting like eaten in the wild. Sounds like the worst.
Sounds terrible and slow.
It makes my problems feel more manageable.
Yeah, you just gotta focus on that every day, and you're like, wow, I'm not getting eaten.
Yeah, I'm not getting like eaten by like a shark in the ocean. Ooh. That would suck. I would hate that.
Yeah, sharks are terrifying too. Yeah. Just the fact that you could be swimming and they come up underneath you.
Yeah. I know, and I love the ocean and the water, but the fact that I can't like see in there, I'm like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, something could
Not
come
getting
up.
in too deep.
Yeah, exactly. So, when you were younger, what first got you into like art and music?
I really liked drawing when I was
Drawing.
younger, more so. Um, I really liked using like pastels and like crayons and stuff. Um, and I really liked drawing like pictures of like whatever like my favorite animals were. Um, and I listened to music and like I had to play like the recorder and like xylophone in school, but it didn't really it didn't really stick with me until I was like 10 and I started to play the guitar and then I was like, "Oh, music is like music is badass. Like I don't just have to play hot cross buns. I can play like Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix."
Oh yeah.
And that's like way cooler. Yeah,
So when you were 10, you were like Jimi Hendrix was a big influence.
once I started to get older, I just cared about like shredding.
Oh yeah.
Because I thought it was like badass. But so Jimi Hendrix is definitely my favorite guitar player. I liked and I feel like a lot of like classic rock and like kind of like jazz people would like never play a solo the same way twice.
Yeah.
And that was always like my goal was to just like kind of like free yourself from like memorizing like a solo. And I would learn solos like note for note, but just so I could have like a couple more like licks that I could
Yeah.
like whip out. But I always thought it was important to like not play the same thing the same way twice, which was which is like a fun challenge,
Yeah.
I think.
Is that how you carry yourself on guitar now? You still want to play not the same thing?
If I'm doing like an improvised section, which young Ryan would be disappointed to learn that I don't play guitar solos in all of my songs now, but sometimes I'll throw in like a cheeky like noisy. Now it's not cool to like shred, but you can do like a noise solo.
Yeah.
So I'll do like an anti solo.
Anti-solo.
I'll
Yeah.
play an anti solo now, and I won't do my anti solos the same way twice either.
Ooh.
So young Ryan can rest assured.
That's awesome. So like, what other guitarists or music were you into when you were younger? Like you said, shredders. Like
Yeah, I really liked a lot, like especially at that age when I was first getting into guitar. I kind of thought that all those like classic rock guitarists were like just like the greatest players like of all time. And now like I have probably a more nuanced opinion about it, but I definitely really liked Jimi Hendrix. Um, I don't think either of these people are great humans, but I really liked Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page. Um, I really, really love.
so, Eddie Van Halen
Yeah,
was like the latest.
he was or at least when I was like younger and like first learning guitar. But then once I got to high school, um, I had a friend who showed me like I kind of started to get I like didn't really listen to any modern music, which was quite a shame because there's obviously like always cool new stuff coming out. And I myself was like a new artist who like was falling into the trap of like, oh, there's no new like good music. Like everything cool came out in the 70s. Um, but then I got into like the Black Keys and the Arctic Monkeys
Oh yeah.
and Cage the Elephant and stuff like that. Because I was like, okay, like this stuff is like similar to that classic rock stuff. Um, and then at that point, that was actually when I met Thomas Luminoso, who I play with in probably like a million different bands.
Okay.
Um, and I met uh, Ash Richter around that point too. And I knew Luna because we went to the same high school. But I wasn't like super close friends with her yet or anything. And we kind of became closer like later on. But then I kind of from there started to get into like more like indie rock kind of stuff. And my favorite artists were like I really liked Jose Gonzalez.
Oh,
Um, I liked how he did like finger style guitar, and I liked how it was kind of similar to classical guitar, which I was like also getting into. And I really liked the XX
oh yeah, the
and
XX.
and Foals.
Foals, yeah.
Those were kind of my three favorite bands when I was like in the middle of like high school and stuff. That was kind of my intro to like indie rock.
Oh yeah. I remember when I listened to a lot of Foals in 2013,
Yeah.
like when Inhaler came out or
Uh
something
huh.
like that.
That was right around when I got into them too.
Yeah, I was like, man, what is this?
Yeah, it was really cool. I liked how they were really like dancy and
Yeah,
stuff, but they still had like the cool like
rock element.
guitar riffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the cool rock elements. That all made it a lot more digestible for me because I was still kind of coming out of the mindset of everything needs to have like a guitar solo and it needs to like shred. Then it's like, no, Ryan, like music can just be music. It doesn't have to
Right, it doesn't have to be difficult or complex
it
or
doesn't have to be difficult and complex. It could just
simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
exactly. Yeah.
I learned that from Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, cool. So, like, when you were younger, did you play in school or anything?
Yeah. I really liked playing in the jazz band. That was the most fun because like I played trumpet in the regular like during the day concert band, and that was like all right, but it wasn't really music that I was interested in. It was just kind of like early 1900s like marching band music, which is fine.
Right.
But then like I would go to like jazz band after school, and like we'd be playing like Earth, Wind and Fire or like Stevie Wonder tunes, and that was super fun. And we do like obviously some more like jazz standard stuff too, but that was always fun. And I got to learn how to improvise on trumpet as opposed to guitar. I'd kind of take some of those like elements that I learned from like learning Jimi Hendrix solos and like try it on a trumpet over like Dat Dare or something. Um, and and that was super fun. Um, but yeah, and then it kind of like encouraged me to get like more creative with my music and to put like trumpets and stuff on it and like put whatever on it.
Nice.
Um, yeah.
That's awesome. So, why would you say you're drawn to music and art?
That's a good question because I've always been drawn to it, but I guess it's just the sort of thing where it feels like I have a lot of music inside of me, and if I let it bottle up, I think I would feel insane. And so it's a very therapeutic thing for me where I don't really feel like I have much of a choice in my life but to just like keep on creating music. And even in times where it's not really practical and I don't like have the energy to like sit down and play guitar, I still find myself just going and like sitting down, and it always feels like, here we go. I'm back at my like comfortable place. So I guess I'm drawn to it because like I feel like I have to make it. Like if I didn't make it, something in my brain would go crazy.
Right.
Um, I don't know if you've ever experienced that sensation, but it's like I like can't not do it,
Yeah.
or else I start to feel like out of whack and like really distant from everything in my life.
Interesting. Yeah. It's therapeutic in a way that when you release it, then you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And like I am always working on stuff, so if I were to like go back and listen to something, it's always really weird because then it's like I can remember exactly what I was thinking about at that time, and like
Wow.
I can hear like the stuff that I was listening to at the time, and like it might not sound like obvious to other people, but like for me, I'm like, oh god, I like ripped that off exactly or something.
Oh, yeah. It is
Uh,
nice to listen back to your old stuff and be like, I was really influenced by that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um,
Nice. So, like, how do you have routines for developing guitar or singing or anything like that?
that's a good question. I guess I don't really have any sort of routine. I guess I kind of do. I never, I never like try to write something. I don't, I don't really know how to describe that, but I never sit down with the intention I'm gonna come up with like a new song right now. It'll kind of be like, I like think of, like, I'll like have like an idea in my head, and I'll kind of just like sit down at a guitar and like start plucking like some random things. And then it's like before I know it, I'm like, oh, I better take out the voice memos app, and like I'll just like record this like little like riff onto it. And then I'll kind of I like to like kind of mumble improvise some lyrics on top of it just to get a sense of like melody, and then that can like inform the chords and like the song structure and whatnot. And so I guess it's like somewhat of an organic process, and sometimes I'll come up with a song in like 5 or 10 minutes, and it'll just be like, oh, this is it. And then sometimes it'll be like 2 years of like tinkering with like one riff, and then I'll be like, oh, like that fourth chord needs to be the same as the second chord actually, or like the fourth chord needs to be like different, or whatever it may be. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely kind of like a perfectionist in that way. Like I wouldn't walk into a recording studio without like the full idea for a song in my head. I know that anytime I try to be spontaneous and I'm like, I'm just gonna like lay out these chords, and like I don't really have an idea for the ending, but I'll just figure it out as I go. It's like, no, because you're like actually gonna figure it out, or like I will actually figure it out like a couple weeks later, and then I'll just hate the version that I recorded with like the quote unquote incorrect ending. And so whenever I sit down to like actually record something, I always know exactly what every single part is going to be, and like exactly what the structure is, And there really isn't much left up to question there.
Nice. You plan to the end.
Yeah, I definitely plan to the end. I feel like the only time that I'm improvising stuff in the studio is if I'm asking somebody like, oh, like how should I sing this part different? Should I like go higher here? It'll be more like little last minute tweaks because like, I mean, you can't plan everything.
Right.
And then also if I'm adding in like cheeky like noise elements or like just like a dinky like lead to go on something, I don't really think you need to plan that sort of thing out. But if it's like the chords or something, it's like, oh god, like I need to know like the structure and the chords and like the backbone of the song.
Right.
You could ornament it probably with whatever, and it'll, as long as it has the right feeling.
Nice. Is this like a everyday thing, kind of developing your artistry?
Yeah, I definitely work on it every day, although I don't really write new songs every day. I think a lot of the times I'm I have like a set list in my head of like 7 songs that I'm just like kind of thinking about at the moment, and I'll kind of I'll kind of go through and I'll pretend that like I'm like at a show, and I'll be like, okay, like you need to play like these 7 songs and like try not to like fuck up, and if you do, then like figure out how to like play through that or something.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah,
Nice. So, like, of all time, who are your favorite artists, musicians?
I think that's a good. I mean, I should have figured that this question would be asked. It's like the hardest question. Um, I'd say like probably probably someone like Stereolab or like Duster would be one of my all-time favorite artists. Just because I feel like they kind of hit everything for me in a certain way. I like both of their lyrics. Um, I think they're both like very creative with um, like chord progressions and like song structures and stuff. And I think that there's enough like structure, verse, like free like improvised elements, and like I guess in the case of Stereolab, there's like these like drones that can kind of go on for a while. And in the sense of Duster, there's like really nice like textures and like more like experimental sorts of tracks that kind of go a little bit into left field. Um, but those are definitely two of my favorite artists. My favorite artist of 2023, according to Spotify, was Modest Mouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of them lately, and that's been really nice. I've been listening to a lot of them and a lot of Pinback too, which has been really fun.
Pinback.
Yeah, I really like them. I really love My Bloody Valentine.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and then beyond like the indie rock realm, I really love Caetano Veloso, the like Brazilian singer from the '60s. Um, he, especially in like a lot of my like earlier Rigby music, was like definitely like the biggest influence, and like all that kind of stuff. I really love because I love playing like nylon string guitar, and that's super common for like Tropicalia and bossa nova,
Oh yeah.
like samba kind of music. Um, but yeah, like Caetano, Gal Costa, Naraleo, Gilberto Gil. Um, those would have all been like, those are all like very like core artists for me. And then I really love like a lot of like jazz players too. Like my two favorites when I was younger were definitely like Miles Davis and Dave Brubeck. And now I feel like I really gravitate toward like Sonny Rollins. Um, I love like Barney Kessel and Grant Green, guitar players. Um, and like Bill Evans, like a sick pianist. Um, but yeah, I feel like that probably sums it up. There's like some like shoegazy slowcore like 90s artists, and then like some like old jazz heads and like some like bossa nova tropicalia people.
I get some of the South American in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. So how did your album Now come about?
It was that was a bunch of stuff that I was working on with Luna Cupper and Thomas Luminoso. Um, and I'm always checking my lyrics with Ash. They're kind of like they're like a my proofreader.
Huh.
Them and like and like Thomas and Luna will also help with that too. I also like to go to Zach Tittle when
Huh.
I'm like doing like lyrical stuff. But that was a bunch of songs that I was working on probably in like 2022. Um, and I guess the goal of that album was to have like pretty like simple and defined like guitar parts, and to kind of make it feel like it was just being played by a band, and to also make it feel like it was played as it was written, which would have been just on an acoustic guitar in my bedroom. Because even though I always kind of have pretty loud guitars with like a bunch of different distortion layers on it and whatever, it all just kind of starts as like really softly played acoustic guitar, like in my bedroom, trying not to wake up my roommates. Um, but so I kind of tried to strike the balance of like the soft, quiet, like bedroom pop elements that it starts out as, with like the more like shoegazy, like what the live set sounds like. Because the live set, I don't think anyone would really guess that it's like all just starts out on acoustic guitar. Because it's definitely like pretty loud, and like I encourage Luna to hit the drums like very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, what were like some of the themes that you explored writing that?
um, I think most of my lyrics are kind of like it'll be talking about, it's like very like emo in the sense that it's like literally just like about emotions, and like songs will be like about like my love life, or about relationships with my friends, or it could be, about like other people's lives and just kind of like how I perceive others. But I generally write stuff from my own perspective, regardless of if it's actually my perspective. Like I could write a song that's first person, but I'm like talking about like I'm really just talking about like my friend's life and like kind of what I perceive in there. It used to be more like I used to write stuff that was like a little more political, but I've kind of stopped going in that direction as much lately. And if I do touch on that, it'll be less like Stereolab, like Marxist music, and more like uh, more like I mean, I'm not comparing myself to Bob Dylan, but like I'll be trying to do the Bob Dylan thing where he's like kind of just talking about like his day and is like throwing in like anecdotes and facts, but like that stuff could maybe be perceived like it could be interpreted in like a political way. Like it definitely it kind of takes a side.
Nice.
I guess I'm thinking of that. There's that song like Overdraft Coffee, um, which is basically just about being like broke and like overdrafting because you want to go buy like a cup of coffee, um, which is kind of just like a cheeky song, but then it's like, yeah, like I think me and a lot of my friends are working jobs where like we should probably be getting paid more because we're overdrafting trying to buy a cup of coffee.
Right.
And it's like I'm not that irresponsible, I don't think.
Yeah, I could definitely hear like the krautrock vibe, Moderick.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even mention that when I was talking about my influences, but that's like such a huge
Yeah, I could definitely hear
influence for
that.
me.
Like, have you ever heard of a band called Grass is Green?
No, I don't know Grass is Green.
Your music reminded me a lot of that.
That's cool.
It's like
I'll have to check it
shoegaze
out.
mixed with like emo kind of lyrics mixed with metal. It's weird. It's
Cool.
some strange music, but definitely has like ethereal vibes mixed with like tension, mixed with like spacey. I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, Grass is Green. They're no longer a band, I don't think, but they were from New York or Chicago, somewhere like that.
No.
But yeah, that album, your album, reminded me a lot of that. Also, did you get the Now influence from New?
No. I think that the only like I wanted to call it Now. I don't know why. I just kind of once I got it in my head, I was like, "Oh, it's just Now." Because I think it took forever for me to write and record the my third album, Big Night Out. And so I was like, I need to like release this now. Like, and I just wanted it to be like very like in the moment, and that's why it's now. However, I will say that when Ash and I were like collaging for the album cover, I definitely was inspired by that album cover, with like the red, because it's like the Now has like it's like kind of a similar thing where it's like a 3-letter word and it's got like the exclamation point
mark, yeah.
at the end. That was definitely like a cheeky like kind of nod to that.
Heck yeah. What would you say inspires your creativity?
I would say that I have a lot of it inside me, and I guess like I was saying before, like I feel like I would be making music regardless if I played shows or if anybody listened. And so there's something like innate that is just kind of calling me to be creative, and I don't really I never really force it. Like if I don't feel like playing guitar, I'm not just gonna force myself to. But more often than not, I just kind of find myself sitting down and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna pick up my guitar just to see what happens. But definitely, I mean, all of my friends too encourage me to be really creative, and I'm fortunate to surround myself with people who are kind of always looking to make art with me, and like it's very often that I'll go over to Thomas's house or Luna's house, and I'll just like call them up one night and be like, yo, can we work on a recording? Like I have a song in my head and I want to just like get it out there. And then even beyond just like recording, like I play in Total Wife and in Zook and with Thomas Luminoso and with Lily Ophelia and um, that that's the bands that I play in. Oh, and obviously like my own band. But playing in all those different projects and just getting to like learn different parts, and they all have like slightly different influences than me. That's something that always makes me feel really creative because it's like I'll kind of I'll be making like random connections when I'm playing with like Lily's band. I play drums for her, and like I'll be making a connection from like one of my songs from like years and years in the past. I'll be like, oh wait, like this beat would actually sound really sick over this. And then that'll inform the next time I show up to a Zouk practice. Like I'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna play this beat like a little different. And then I'm going to record my own song. And I'm like, I kind of want it to have this feel. And it's like, oh, well, luckily I've been practicing drums like in these other bands like all week, and it kind of it'll all like inform each other, which is cool. So I think that playing in a bunch of other bands is another thing that like keeps me feeling super creative.
Nice. Is guitar your main instrument?
Guitar is my main instrument for sure, but I feel like when I'm playing in other people's bands, they're more likely to need a bassist or a drummer. So I normally wind up playing drums for people.
Yeah.
Which for me, that's like sick. I'm like, because I think that that's like, I would argue that it's the most important instrument in the band, and I feel like you might argue the same thing as a drummer. But it's nice to feel like you're kind of like holding everything down, and it's nice to be a drummer and like kind of listen to what's going on and like change your dynamics and like, but like still like kind of just try and keep everybody like in like line and like keep a sense of balance going. That's like really fun. And then for my own stuff, I always like to be the one playing guitar just because like I feel like that's how like I'm creatively expressing myself. Whereas like the drums, like I'm still being creative. It's more so like I'm like I know the role that I'm trying to fill, but with guitar, it's kind of like I'm not I'm not really I'm not just trying to fill in a role. It's more like expressive and emotive.
Yeah.
So it's definitely my main instrument because I feel like I don't really feel like there's any barriers between what I hear in my head and like what I want to play on guitar.
Nice.
Unless I'm trying to play like jazz songs with my friends. And there's definitely like then there's barriers that come up where I'm like, okay, I don't know all the proper scales and the best chord shapes to play here. But just in terms of like expressing myself in my own like whatever indie rock music I make, um, I don't really feel barriers there.
Nice.
Yeah.
How would you best describe the type of artist you are?
In terms of like genre,
However,
I think um
like you as an artist, as an individual, I guess.
yeah. I would say I'm probably first and foremost like a songwriter. Um like even more so than being the leader of like a band. I feel like I'm always just kind of making like songs, and for me like that's like the beauty of it is like making something, and it's like I could very like easily write down like a chart with like the chords for one of my songs, and I feel like that's the thing that like I really enjoy doing. So I think of myself as an artist as like a songwriter. I think that the most important thing in like performing it for people is I want like a healthy amount of push and pull between like quiet and loud, um, between dissonance and resolution. Um, and I like a sense of organized chaos. Um, like, it's kind of, I think the fun thing about seeing a Rigby show is that it maybe feels like the train could run off the tracks at some points, because it's like, well, like we really escalated that there, but then it's like we can kind of reel it back, um, and that's very fun for me. So I guess as an artist, those would be like the important things to me.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. So, what would you say your strengths and weaknesses as an artist are?
I think my strengths are in um, I know what my vision is, and I've never had difficulty expressing to any of the people playing in my band what my vision is and like what I want them to do to help achieve that. Um, and so, in that sense, there's like a very clear sense of direction. And maybe a weakness would be that I feel like my weakness is when I'm actually trying to put my ideas down like in the studio, and like I'm trying to really finalize things. I'm like quite indecisive, and I kind of need everything to be perfect. And then I can also recognize that like nothing will ever be perfect. So I have a bad tendency of like going back and like overcorrecting stuff, when I think a better use of my time would be just write something that does the thing that you actually want to do. Like don't go back to an old song that you finished a year ago and is like recorded and almost done. Like don't change that. Just write something new that has that vibe that you're now looking for.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe I can like I'm sure of myself, which is my strength, and my weakness is that I'll go back and doubt myself. But fortunately, having a band that kind of keeps that in line, because I'm not going to make them do a whole new thing every week. And
I
if I
changed everything. Now y'all got to change.
yeah. I think that would be unreasonable. Um, but I think that when it's like really important for me to change something, then it's like, okay, I have some people to kind of keep me in check and say like,
Don't go too far.
yeah, let's not go. Do you really want to do this, or are you just like, did you just listen to an album that like sounds different that you love? Sounds different from the stuff that you make. And now
Yeah.
you just want everything to sound like that.
Right. Okay, cool. So you've been in Nashville since 2014.
Hmm.
What initially like brought you here?
I went to Belmont,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah, and I went to Belmont because Thomas Luminoso went to Belmont. I just kind of followed him here.
And y'all were like high school friends?
Yeah, we played in a band called Total Life together.
Total life?
Yeah, Total Life, like the Foals album. We were really big Foals fans. Uh, but
High
so
school was back in New York?
it was in Connecticut.
Oh, in Connecticut.
Yeah, I lived in New York when I was like younger, but um, yeah, he went to Belmont to do like audio engineering, and I went to Belmont. I guess I went for the music business program, even though like I didn't really care about it. That I just like for some reason I thought I like had to go to college. I was like I went to like a very competitive high school, and they were like if you don't go to college, like you're a fucking loser, basically. um and so like it's very like fortunate that I went to this school where like almost the entire graduating class like wound up going to college, but it's also like I'm in a lot of debt now, and I don't really use my degree on the daily, so it's kind of like, ugh. Maybe we should have just moved to Nashville and like chilled and like figured out what to do. But I was like, I was young and I was like too afraid to do that. I was like, I need to do like the thing that everyone else is doing. I need to go to college. But so I got like a scholarship, which helped too. And I remember I got into Belmont like the first week of high school, and I knew that Thomas went there, and I knew that I had already been to Nashville a bunch to visit him, and I had seen like cool shows. And I was like, oh, sick. I'm not going to apply anywhere else, and I'm just going to like coast until I go to school, which is what I did. And yeah, which I think was a good choice because like I went there and I already knew a bunch of people, and it was like easy for me to start like Rigby. Um, and yeah,
Nice.
but yeah, so I technically came here for Belmont, even though it's not really like a defining thing about me, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, that's not really the reason why you're here now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would have left if that was the only thing keeping me here.
Right. So, what would you say is something you've learned living here?
Something I've learned living in Nashville.
Yeah.
I think living in Nashville forced me to be like way more open-minded about music, which is like sick. Because I was like, you know, um, or you don't know, that's why you're asking me. But I was like very pretentious about music as like a little kid. I don't really know why, but I guess it was because I listened to indie rock, and like nobody else at my high school knew who the band like Foals was. So I was like, God, these fucking people, they don't fucking get it. Um, and so I kind of like held like indie rock up on this like high horse, and that's just kind of like, dude, it's not like we're not like going to the moon here. It's just indie rock. Like, don't worry about it. Um, but moving here, like, I met people who, also liked indie rock like I did, which was cool. But then they like grew up in the South, and they were like really interested in like country and bluegrass. And so when I first got here, I was like, country and bluegrass, like I just like indie rock. Like I don't want to hear about that. Um, but then it's like the more that like I checked out that kind of stuff, and I learned about like I don't know, all kinds of like music like that. Um, it kind of like expanded my mind a lot. And now I would say that like I really love country music, and like some of my, like, I describe myself as like a singer songwriter. And so it's like, somebody like Townes Van Zandt or like Johnny Cash would be like really important people to me. Um, and maybe if I never moved to Nashville, like I wouldn't have been exposed to like so many different kinds of music.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely opened my mind a bit.
Nice. What is your favorite venue here to play and or to go to?
I feel like my favorite venue is probably Drkmttr.
Oh,
Um, I just feel um, like especially when I was like more first starting out, like that was a space that like I was kind of always able to play and like meet like some really really cool bands. Like I remember I played a show there that there was like nobody there, and it was like so sad. But I got to play with the band Empath, um, who I love, and like it was so cool. And the owner Catherine like reached out to me to play the show, and I was like so honored. Like even though it was like it wound up being like a little like last minute, and like the booker, like I don't know, like somebody fucked something up, and like there weren't a lot of people there. But it's just like this like constant space where like all of like my favorite bands in town I know have played like 1,000 shows there. And like when I go there it feels very homey, like a very like home base kind of venue. The people who work there are like amazing. um I'm friends with like all of them. And then if there's like a new person there, then it's like, well, I want to be their friend because they're working at Drkmttr. But I love that it's like a very community oriented venue. And then like they will put on a modest show, but then they'll put on like a fucking like banger of a show. Like last year, I didn't play this Total Wife show, but Total Wife played with I think with Teeth actually.
huh.
And they're gutting a body of water in wave form. And I feel like the thing was like practically sold out, and like there was just like people everywhere. And there's so many shows there like that. It'll be like it'll be bumping, and they kind of just do everything. So definitely definitely my favorite venue.
Okay, awesome. So, since you've lived here for quite a while, what is some advice you'd give to someone who's going to move here and do art or music?
I would say that just like immerse yourself in the community. Um, and the first way to do that is to just try and go to like as many shows as you possibly can. Um, I mean, especially for music, um, and in a town where like so many people are musicians, like sometimes it can be difficult to get people to come out to a show. So, like if you're one of the people there, like, and you're just showing like constant support, like you're eventually just going to meet everybody because that's where the people go to. And once you meet people, then you're talking, you discover that you both really like German Kosmische music and like post punk and like whatever the fuck. And then that's like how you start like bands and like form relationships with people. So I definitely feel like just putting yourself out there, even if it's like Tuesday night and it's raining and you haven't eaten dinner yet and like your life's all fucked up. It's like spend your last $10, just go to the show. That
Yeah,
would be my advice, because then it's like you'll feel like a part of something, and people will want you to be included too, but it's not a competition.
Right. That's awesome. So, reflecting back on when you first started as an artist, what is one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome, and how did you get through it?
I think for me, like the biggest challenge would be like feeling, and it like doesn't even have to do with being a musician, but actually just more in terms of like confidence, is like just like actually being confident and putting yourself out there. Um, and that goes further than like being on stage, because when I'm on stage, like I feel very confident, and like I truly like I'm pretty like unfazed if there's like hundreds of people in the audience. It's like I don't feel like nervous or whatever. It's just kind of like I know I'm just gonna like play my part like I always do. Like it's not really different for me than like practicing in the basement. But actually feeling confident to talk about myself like as a musician when I'm not on stage. Um, to like post something onto social media and to feel like, oh God, like is this like cringy and I'm like a loser or something? And it's like no, like nobody's thinking about it that deeply. Like it literally doesn't matter. Um, but I feel like as an artist, I've had to realize that it's not even though it's maybe mostly about being like a recluse, like recording and then like going out to shows, like it's also about like putting yourself out there like as a person. And that's like super weird for me because it's like I don't really want anybody to perceive me as like a person that exists. That feels really stressful. But like the entity Rigby, I'm like, you can perceive that. Like that's cool. But then it's like, no, there is like a person behind Rigby and it's me. And so it's like I have to kind of like promote myself. But that's something that I'm like still working on feeling okay about. Like when I look at my Instagram profile and I see like pictures of my face, I'm like, oh, that's so weird. Like I don't like seeing so many pictures of myself. But then I remember that like that's just kind of part of like the grind that you have to be on. And it's like,
It's one of the
okay, I'll play the game. I'm here, man.
right. It's one of the walls you have to get over. Like, kind of have to be like, first off, no one gives a shit. So like, put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like, get over yourself. You're embarrassed, whatever. It doesn't matter because no one cares. But like, that is like, you
Yeah.
kind of have to like get used to making a fool, or you think you're making a fool, but it's not really a fool of yourself.
Yeah, you're actually just like showing confidence and people probably respect it. Like I know I respect it when other people do it.
Exactly, because you
So
know it's tough, and that's
yeah.
what's holding a lot of people back. But
Yeah.
when you do it, and then you get over it, you're like, yeah,
Yeah, it feels really good.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what would you say is one of your biggest personal growths from last year to this year?
Hmm. Um, I feel like I've grown a lot, like, I guess, like, emotionally or something. Like, I feel like a lot more at ease in, like, larger social situations and, like, presenting myself, like, online and just being, like, comfortable with myself as a person. And I think I'm a lot better now about, like, being myself around everybody and not just around like my closest like 7 friends or whatever. Because I think for a while, like I could only ever really be like my true self around like a very select few people. And then maybe in the past year, I've learned like, oh, like you can be yourself around like everybody. and that's like a good thing. People,
Strength.
it's a strength. People like that. People want you to be like a little different. If you're the same as everybody else, then
What are you doing?
you're bringing nothing to the table.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I've learned that if you are truly yourself, you give the confidence to those around you to be themselves as well.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wow, he's, being loud and crazy, like weird. Then what am I being subconscious for?
Yeah. Like there's no reason. Just
Exactly.
let your freak fly or whatever.
Ooh, yeah, let your freak fly. I like that. Okay. So how can people support you as an artist?
People can come out to shows that we were playing on January 11th at the Blue Room. I feel like this will probably come out after that.
That's awesome. The Blue Room.
Yeah,
Nice, dude.
I love playing the Blue Room. I think that's like another really really great venue.
Yeah, I really want to
in
play
town.
there.
It's awesome. They treat artists like really really well there. Chibi is great. Megan is great. Sarah is great. Um, I mean the whole crew. I don't know the whole staff, but like um, it's like a really good team over there, and they really care about the people who come through, and they're always given opportunities to local artists like me to play with like the bigger touring artists. Like the first time I played there was with Sweeping Promises, and that was like really really fun. And just as like a fan of that band, it was like, wow, now I get to like open up for them. Like I would have been at this show anyway,
Ah,
and so that's fun. But people can come out to shows. That's like probably the best way to support, just because, and it's like probably the most fun way to support because like I think that my music is best experienced live. And like I like to have like my cheeky banter with the audience, and I kind of like to. I don't know. I like to have a little fun. I like to razz people when they're there, which is a fun thing for me, I guess. So maybe don't come to the show if you don't want to be razzed. um, you can of course like listen like on Spotify, like throw it on like a playlist or something. I think that is good for the algorithm. And if it's not good for the algorithm, then I can check on like my Spotify app that like somebody added it to a playlist, and I'll just like feel good. So like you can help me emotionally. And then you can buy it on Bandcamp. That would be like the preferred method to buy it. Or if you come to a show, like I have t-shirts for the album now, and I made some cassettes with Ash Luna and Sean's label Ivy Eat Home. Um, I feel super good about that.
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. How do you like now? How do you consume media? Do you have like favorite YouTube videos or?
Yeah, I do. My favorite YouTube video right now is a My Bloody Valentine performance in 1989. I think it was their first ever American show, but Jay Mascis was running sound.
Oh wow.
And it sounds like amazing. Like you can actually hear the vocals, which I think you can.
Of Dinosaur Jr.
Oh no, of
Jay Mascis.
well, he's like running the soundboard, and like you can actually hear like um, uh, Kevin Shields and Belinda Butcher's
Oh yeah.
vocals, which I feel like are normally like buried in every like live performance I've ever heard.
Wow. So it was like clear to hear. Like yeah, that's like the thing with shoegaze is you don't really know what the lyrics
Yeah,
sound like.
but like you can totally hear it in this, and it's just like I think it's just kind of a cool novelty that like Jay Mascis is on the soundboard. I'm like, what? Like I guess they were like friends or whatever, but I really like that. I really like oh, there's this band called Thanks Cagoule. Um and they have a YouTube video that's like a house show. Um I don't know where it is, but they don't have a whole bunch of stuff online, and they don't have anything on like Spotify or anything. So kind of that YouTube video is like the best way to listen to their music. Um, that's something that me and like all my friends have been into for a while. But yeah, that's another one of my favorite YouTube videos.
Nice. Do you have any like favorite movies or TV shows you watch?
Yeah. I don't know what my favorite movie is, but I just watched that movie Saltburn.
Huh.
Um, and that was like really, really good. It's like really creepy, like uncanny valley, but that's the sort of thing that like I really like. Like I like suspense movies, and like dramas and stuff, just stuff with like a darker sort of edge. But then I also like stuff that's really stupid, and like all my favorite TV shows are like probably like reality TV. Um, like I think um like I like watching like all the cooking shows specifically, like anything with like Gordon Ramsay or like Guy Fieri or Anthony Bourdain. Like I feel like they're just kind of like out in the world, and like it's just like I'll just sit and watch it for like ever. Like I feel like I don't watch a lot of TV with like a plot line, just because like I guess I don't really know why. I just never think to like sit down and like watch something, which is like kind of weird. I feel like that's like a very standard way to like chill out. But if I'm gonna like sit down and watch something, I'll normally like I get distracted and then I like start playing guitar or something. Um, Although I will say I've been throwing on like Sex in the City and Curb Your
Oh
Enthusiasm
yeah.
lately. Curb Your Enthusiasm is kind of like always on for me.
Hilarious.
I love that show. Um, yeah.
Okay, cool. Is there anything that you would like to add that I might not have asked you about?
Um, I don't know. I guess like I guess the note I would want to leave on would just be like a note of like gratitude, just to like um just like the whole Nashville community. Just because like I guess I've been part of it for like 9 years now, and really feels very homey and stuff. And there's just so many good people I've met, and like you get into like an opportunity like this with you, and that's like really nice too.
Awesome.
Um, but yeah, so thank you, Nashville. I'm happy to be an artist in your scene.
Absolutely. This is a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, great. Here's the last question.
Perfect.
What is something absurd you love or do?
Ooh. Um, I feel like I'm a very absurd person. But now that I'm like thinking about it, I might actually be really like normal. um, um, because I don't think I could think of like the most absurd. thing. I'm like, do I do anything that's absurd, or do I live like? Maybe the absurdity for me is in living like such a normal life. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I guess one absurd thing that I do is when I'm performing, I really like to, like I was talking about this before, I like to razz the audience, but it's like I truly like to get into like arguments with the audience. And I guess if you're ever like at a show, like I feel like in Nashville people try to be like very like respectful and like not talk during your sets, but I'm like, no, like talk during my set, like give me something to work with, man, because like I like to I like the back and forth. I just think it's really funny. um and I'll always win because I'm the one with the microphone.
You can always just start the next song.
So I can always just even if I've completely lost, like rhetorically speaking, I'm backed in a corner. I still have the mic, and I'm gonna say like, okay, well you're done now, and we're gonna play the next song. So, you know,
Always have the final say.
yeah. Maybe that's why I like being on stage so much. It's the only time you can always have the final say.
Right. Well, someone comes and takes the mic away or something.
Yeah. And then I would have to. Then I'd have to throw down, and I don't know. I don't know how that would go for me. I don't. I don't think I don't know if I could physically overpower like anybody who came at me. Um, I'm not really a fighter. I'm a fighter with my words.
Yeah.
But if you tried to take the mic away from me, I might just be like, ooh, okay.
A step too far.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what to do now. I don't have the mic anymore.
All right. Well, awesome, dude. Well, thank you for coming over and doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely.